love to talk on my own.
For being with us on Wednesday's edition of Morning at NTV. We now get into tough discussions. Yesterday, we did two stories following up on the National Drug Authority through Masaka and other areas where they were having engagements with the community leaders as far as drug safety is concerned. It's no surprise that this morning we're going to have it as a topic or discussion in our Tech Note. So welcome to our Tech Note. I am Priscilla Regina Naluoga, and we're going to be looking at targeting counterfeit drugs and its effects. Now, no country is unaffected by fake drugs. That's the reality. What was once considered a danger limited to low and medium income countries has become a global issue. The rise of internet and access of manufacturing equipment has made it easier than ever for illegal distribution of medicines to happen on an even larger scale. And each year, an estimated 250,000 children around the world die as a result of fake malaria, pneumonia drugs alone. You get to look at low quality or counterfeit vaccines, antibiotics, etc. Now, this is a very deep discussion, and I'm privileged to have an expert with me to illuminate us on the drug use, understanding the drugs on the market that you consume on the market, and how to identify the fake ones from the good ones, and how to protect yourself and your health at the end of the day. We are joined by Mr. Julius Mayengo. He's the manager for pharmacovigilance at the National Drug Authority. Good morning to you, Mr. Mayengo.
Morning, Patricia. How are you?
Very, very good. So it's a pressurizing time that we have you in studio with us this morning. There's a lot of drugs on the market. Every other day I transact with Wilson when I want to get medications. But every other day you're seeing new drugs or new industries that are making the same drug, and begs the question now, which one is good, which one is better, which one is for non-communicable diseases, and so on and so forth. But let's first understand the mandate of the National Drug Authority in the management of drugs in Uganda.
Thank you, Patricia. I think
It's Priscilla.
Oh, Priscilla.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah. So I think it's important for people to know what NDA does and why it's important that we exist, because drugs are very important for us. In health, I think they account for maybe 80% of what drives the health system, besides the health workers and other consumables. Most people will live with a drug when they are sick. So it is important that these drugs that they consume, first of all, they do what they're supposed to do. If you go to take an anti-malaria, it has to be able to treat your malaria, because first of all, it costs you money, and sometimes it also has some untoward effects. So it will be dangerous for you to take a drug that doesn't work. Yeah. So it has to work, and it has to be of good quality, and therefore, and also it has to be safe. It shouldn't have these very unbearable side effects. And that's why NDA exists, that someone has to make sure that a drug, from its discovery to its manufacture to its distribution to its use, certain regulations and certain standards and certain expectations are made. So NDA does that, and it's a government body mandated to do that. And our job is to ensure that once a drug is to be put on the market, from whence it's discovered, researched on, manufactured in the right way, and then put on the market so that it's safe. So we have a lot of things that we do. We inspect these facilities, we test these drugs in the lab, and routinely do surveillance to check for the drugs that could be having issues. So that's why NDA is there, and that's what we do.
Okay, all right.
In a layman's term.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, we are equally joined by Mr. Abias Ramwiri, who's the Public Relations Manager still with the National Drug Authority. And for him, we want to understand so far the standards that are on the market. What are the standards that are on the market to ensure that Ugandans are receiving the best quality of pharmaceuticals that there is in the country? Good morning to you, and you're most welcome.
Good morning, and good morning, the viewers of NTV. Like Julius has shared, there are so many regulatory processes that we can't even exhaust in 1 hour here. One, before the drug is allowed onto the market. But what you're asking are the post-approval systems that a regulator like National Drug Authority puts in place to ensure that the drugs remain as good, as safe, as of good quality as we allowed them onto the market. We have systems of post-market surveillance when we allow the product onto the market. We have our teams that are dedicated to going around the country, collecting samples, buying from where every Ugandan would buy from a drug shop, a pharmacy, and those products are brought into our quality control laboratory. I want to emphasize that that laboratory is one of the top laboratories in the world, pre-qualified by WHO, meaning that whatever is tested there cannot be contested anywhere in the world. So we get those samples collected across the country, and we run them into the what we call confirmatory tests to ensure that they are conforming to the standards we released them at. And of course, we have you know, what we call high-risk products. Those are sampled more often to ensure that people who use these products are not put at risk. We have what Julius and his team do, following up with the dispensers, the doctors, the health caregivers, to see how people are reacting to actually these products. So that if there are those products that could be putting Ugandans at any unknown risk, a regulatory action, including withdrawal of that product off the market, is undertaken. But also, you want to know that the National Drug Authority has 9 regional offices spread across the country. And every single day, our teams leave offices going around districts, cities, towns, to do what we call supervision support services, where they do random supervision of the outlets we have licensed, but also to map out those mushrooming illegal outlets so that we can take action.
Okay.
We also have targeted and regular enforcement operations, where we send out our teams from Kampala. Now that is our last arm of regulation, where we send out teams that will go, of course, working with other security agencies now to take action to non-compliance issues. Of course, where we've targeted and mapped out using our intelligence some people who could be sneaking in or dispensing impure products. But Julius keeps emphasizing, and rightly so, we need the public, and that's why we're here. Because the other key regulator is us, the public.
Okay. Mr. Mayango, what is the makeup, what's the identity of low-quality drugs or medicines or even counterfeit products in pharmaceutical?
Okay. I think when you talk about counterfeit, low quality, or fake, what we call fake, what most people call fake, a fake product is a product that doesn't meet, it's not fit for its purpose. I think that's what I would mean, that either it doesn't treat what it's supposed to treat, or it's harmful to the person, or it's in a way somehow of poor quality. And then we have those products that are not of poor quality, they are not what we call substandard, but yet they are not authorized to be on our market. India has not looked at them. Okay, maybe people have smuggled them from other jurisdictions where they have been approved, and yet they are not supposed to be in the country. Now, there are certain aspects that people can look at, like any other product. most of you have a phone and you know how a routine Samsung looks like, the way the word is written. And you find this new product called Panadol that is written in a funny way. Either the color is different or the packaging looks a bit different. These are simple things that you can start with as a normal person. You can also look at the way it is, the language, the way it's labeled. Some products from other jurisdictions will have only to be sold in a certain country, so you can be able to see. Also, other products, we have certain standards of labeling. A product has to have a batch number, manufacturing date, expiry date, and certain things. If these things are missing, you already have to be suspicious, because that's our minimum standard. The product has to have certain things that are supposed to be there. But also, when you look at the product itself, if it's a tablet, if it's discolored or it's breaking, it's not, we have certain standards also for that. And if you see that the product doesn't meet those minimum physical attributes of a product, you also have to be suspicious about that. But also, most of the time, substandard products either will not work or they usually cause side effects, very unexpected side effects. So these are things that arouse your interest as a layperson. Of course, for us as regulators, we have more scientific approaches of doing this. But as a layman, you just have to be vigilant, as I would call it.
Batch number, manufacturer,
date, expiry date, packaging, outlook of the product. All these things are indicators. We used to have a product at some point that was manufactured by Pfizer. And you know, Pfizer starts with a P, but the one who was trying to counterfeit started with an F, because you know, they sometimes simple things. And
so for you, when you go to the counter, you ask for Pfizer product, and as long as you give it to you, you trust whatever the pharmacist has given you.
So what we are saying that the public now needs to be more vigilant. As soon as you get the product, try to inspect it as well. And you might be able to pick up these things.
Mr. Ramwiri, perhaps we do have the low quality products on the market as far as drugs is concerned to meet the needs of the different classifications of Uganda's society. We do have extremely low income learners who cannot afford expensive medication, and so they must give them treatment or medication that is affordable in their pockets.
I don't think there is such a classification in that regard.
There's a Panadol of 100 shillings, there's a Panadol of 500 shillings, there's a Panadol of 2,000 shillings.
It's not designed to meet a certain class of people. Drugs are priced. One, you want to know, as a country, we have a free economy system. How you take your child in a school, in a kindergarten that pays 2 million when there is one actually that is for free, or that pays 200,000 where I take mine, is how is where how you regard a certain choice that you make. Now for drugs, it can be that you will go to this particular pharmacy and find the same product sourced from the same market, supplied by the same importer, but at different prices, because you've gone to a cashier mall where rent is actually higher than if you went downtown. You're contributing to the rent, you're contributing to the bills and everything. So that affects the end price of this particular product. But also, you want to know that some products are made in the same measure, because Julius has mentioned that we do inspections of all factories that intend to put their products on Ugandan market, whether they are foreign or local. Now, we have a standard measure we use when we are doing these inspections for you to pass our good manufacturing practices. So we have factories that are in Europe that pay a high cost of labor and cost of production. Definitely, their same product of the same quality, safety, and efficacy will be different from the one good manufacturer we have approved to do the same product in Namavi. industrial park. So the cost of production will also affect. There are issues of taxes. There are issues of importation and all that. So it's beyond this product being charged 100 and another being charged 100. I'll give you an example, and Julius can emphasize this. We have Panadol Extra.
I was about to ask that question.
Now, Panadol Extra
I was going to go there with Julius.
and the normal Panadol,
yes,
is actually the same. What the National Drug Authority is looking at, is it designed to do what it's supposed to do? Now, the guy of Extra adds in caffeine. Now, caffeine has nothing it is going to add on treating what Panadol is supposed to do, the paracetamol. Because what we are looking at is the actual paracetamol. So the guy who adds in caffeine will put an extra price for that. The packaging, there are some of, especially for you ladies who want something that is in a particular shiny material. But remember that adds on the cost of this particular, or the final price of this product. But also, some of the original, the innovator, the first innovator, when they are putting their product on the market, because they want to recoup the prices of innovating this product and production and everything, those first line products are priced higher. But then the international standards are that when you recoup your profits, you should give your rights. Like he was talking of Pfizer, who innovate, the guys who are behind like COVID-19, they are supposed, after they've recouped their profits or their cost of production, they should give rights to especially developing countries to be able to reproduce what we call, you know, these are like what we call Panadol. It was actually invented by someone, and then later they gave out their rights to. So what we have here, yes, pharmaceutical industries in developing countries to redo the same. So they are giving their rights or whatever the innovation to these guys to produce what we call the generic.
Okay.
So now a generic will definitely be priced slightly less. Now, Julius also mentioned there are countries that have, because they want to promote production of pharmaceuticals in their countries, they highly subsidize the production of the similar products. Now, those products will definitely be cheaper from other countries that don't feel there is a need to promote the same.
Okay.
But also the reason Julius mentioned about where you find like a product is saying not to be sold in this particular account. It means actually the country has worked with this manufacturer, either subsidized heavily this product so that there is easy access for their own population. Now, what concerns us is when we find those products in here, chances are that they're going to be smuggled.
And so that is where you do the inspection and supervision to ensure that. Okay, yes, Julius, let's first go back to the Panadol part. What's the difference between Panadol, Panadol Extra, Panadol Advance?
Panadol, I think Panadol right now has two. Just Panadol Advance and Extra. If you're talking about Panadol, the brand. I don't know if that's what you wanted to know. And I think Panadol Advance is just plain Panadol, really. It's just plain Panadol. And as he told you, Extra has a bit of caffeine, because caffeine has a stimulant, so it kind of improves when you relieve pain. It also keeps the body sharp, and you feel, you know, that sensation. So they've just added a bit of that you can also get in coffee. So
here I was going for advanced, thinking it's more advanced than the
but
Extra.
of course also you should know that advance is safer, because for many people who cannot tolerate caffeine, for example, if you have ulcers and what, it might be better to stay away from that. So
see, now this is the information we're talking about. Now let's derive from there and go into the side effects of medicines. Yes, there's always that cut paper, well folded in your medication packaging that gives you all the information about the drug, the manufacturer, the purpose it's meant to serve, the side effects, and how you can counter the side effects, recommendations on how to do so. But you know, Ugandans, if you want to hide knowledge, just write it down and we won't read it. But from a personal experience, having done a drug from the States, a painkiller, checked the side effects and they were affecting the liver and the kidney. That's the last day I took it, because it's like, no, I'm too young to die from these diseases. But it then put into context why so many of young people are losing their lives today because of misuse of drugs or misinformation on drugs, or not wanting to understand the drugs that they are consuming as much as possible. So let's speak into the side effects with medication and treatments.
Yeah, I think I always say that in life everything has a side effect.
True.
But we always have to make a choice, an informed choice. Now, unfortunately for drugs, some of the information that we may need either may be too complex for us to appreciate because of the science that goes in there. And therefore, there is a way the health system or the healthcare system works, that some of that informed decision has been delegated to those people who take 6 years in school to try and understand these things. And when you tell people that please allow these people to make this informed decision for you or guide you through making that decision, there's been a practice that people tend to overlook that and go straight to accessing these products and using them. And it's very challenging, because what happens is that in such a situation you look not so much different from someone who is given a car and don't know how to drive it and they hit the road. There are chances that there are certain things that could be done to protect yourself, but you can't do them because you even don't know them. You know, you're driving on the right and the left, or things like that. So similarly, drugs will have side effects by their nature, okay? Because they modify your what we call physiologic function. I don't know, in layman's terms, we say they modify the way your body functions so that you can attain certain benefits from it. So it is no chance that there are certain adverse outcomes that you may experience. Okay. So there are adverse effects that you may get immediately, and also related to the way the product works. For example, if you're taking an anti-diabetic product that lowers your sugars, there's an expected side effect that if it could overlower your sugar. That's a side effect. I've
experienced that with my mother. She got into a sort of an attack, and then the sugars went extremely
low.
High. Okay. Yes. So now to bring them down, then they went extremely down. So by the time we left the hospital to get home, she couldn't even walk. She was sweating terribly, which is a sign that's extremely low. So now we had to quickly counter that.
So you find such side effects that are a bit related to how the drug works, and they most times either happen immediately, and you can predict them, you can see how they work. But also you have side effects that are a bit long term, that you may not experience now, and you take the drug and think, okay, I didn't see anything.
So let me revise it and ask, why is it important that people should know the side effects of the drugs that they're consuming?
Yes. Because, as I said at the beginning, that when you take a drug, you've consented to even the risks of that drug. So how can you make that choice, you know? Okay, how can and sometimes also knowing these side effects helps you to prevent them, to mitigate them, okay? Because if you know them, you can be able to manage them, because there are things that we do to manage them, either taking antidotes or avoiding certain things. Like there are certain drugs that cause side effects on an empty stomach, for example. And the simple thing you can do is make sure you take food before you take that drug.
And on that particular note, what's the waiting period between taking the meal and taking the drug after meal?
Now,
what's the recommendation?
Now, the general rule there is that it's not standard, but it's generally accepted, I think, that food takes about 2 hours to leave your stomach. and now go into the small intestines and start. So if they say take with food, of course it's obvious that if you eat food now, within an hour also food will still be in your stomach, so you won't have that effect. And conversely, if they say take on an empty stomach, then at least give yourself that time of at least maybe 2 hours. So then you eat your food, so that the drug, those products that don't require food in your stomach. So there is a bit of that. But also you can have a discussion with your pharmacist, because different drugs will have different ways they go through the system. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Ramwiri, as we're coming to the end of this conversation, it's very informative. That's one thing we do appreciate. But with COVID-19 came more herbalists than ever before, I believe. And so now there's so many herbal medicines on the market. How are you managing the herbal medicine industry in Uganda in terms of making sure that there's protection to the consumer, but also the standardization and ensuring that they abide by the policy of medication?
Thank you. To give you a perspective, according to the Ministry of Health statistics, over 60% of Ugandans, they seek their first medical intervention from herbal-based remedies. That's a huge population. As a National Drug Authority, we've been supporting herbal medicine. We actually have a department dedicated, a team dedicated to supporting the development, the standardization of herbal medicine. Now, what needs to come out very clearly is what is regulated by National Drug Authority. The law requires that any product that is going to be massively produced and marketed, that leaves what we call a community setting, must be regulated. And the thing or the standard is that, like Julius mentioned, it's the issue of risk. What we call a community setting is my mother picking a few leaves of mururuza and giving them to the grandchild. That one doesn't need the regulator. But when you're going to put something on the market, you're going to do mass production, you're going to put your product at a wider. So if this product had any risk, you are spreading a risk to a mass population that requires the state, government, and the regulator to see what you're doing. We want to promote products that are locally made. We want to promote herbal medicine. We actually been, people say, promote Bubu, buy Uganda, build Uganda. Yeah. But we are dealing with a product that means life and death. This is not furniture. Medicine, drugs are, it's not furniture, it's not a dress that when it gets torn you can go to another tailor and have another one. So because of that, we have put standards, minimum standards, that we want our herbalists to follow. And we've been doing some sensitizations across the country, engagements, and I want to tell Ugandans, the good news is that there are those who are complying, and we have authorized over 200 locally made herbal products that are now available in different pharmacies and drug shops that deal with the different ailments. These are supportive treatment products. Now, because Ugandans will seek herbal medicine as the first priority, there are people, scrupulous people, who will take advantage of this. And we have seen us going after most of them, and we actually widening our net, because we want to clean this herbal sector so that our products can have the guys who are complying, who are doing the right job, have a good market. Ugandans have access to good drugs. We know for sure that there are those who are doing a good job, but we know there are so many who are taking Ugandans for a ride, mixing conventional medicine with funny concoctions and putting Ugandans at risk, because there is a belief that these are natural products. These are our own herbs, and they don't have risks. But science has shown that they have as higher risks or even worse than the conventional medicine. There is no product that is void of side effects, and because of that we take it to that level. We will continue. The authority and our mother ministry have put up enough resources to support this industry. We have a dedicated team that is doing that, but also we have an enforcement team that is ready to crack the whip against those who continue to masquerade and putting the lives of Ugandans at risk. But also to warn Ugandans that please don't pick a jerrycan of a certain product and you take the whole of it, claiming that it is the same that treats syphilis, treats HIV, diabetes, pressure, and we've been making it very clear. If you're a herbalist and you have this wonder product that you think treats diabetes, pressure, you bring it to National Drug Authority. We work with you to improve it and test it. We put it on the market so that you make more money than you going into a home kind of shrine.
I think there's the whole element that the fear of the cost to get it to that level of authentication and also manufacturing. But that's a discussion for another day. What we pick out of this is that information is key and very, very paramount, especially to us, the end user, as Mr. Ramwiri did point out, that the end user must equally be as knowledgeable about what they're consuming. They have done the enforcement teams. I know of an enforcement team that is in Greater Masaka doing thorough supervision and inspection. So this is what we can tell you in terms of the herbal medicines and treatments. The ones that are in pharmacies, at least they have gotten the approval and authority from the National Drug Authority to appear on the shelves of those pharmacies, and so you can trust those recommendations. The ones that are not there, then you should be skeptical to actually get them into your system, because every medication comes with risk. Now, speaking of risk, it's also paramount that you know the risk of every treatment that you are on, so that you can counter it in other ways that either natural or organic, for that matter, or even medicinal for conventional medicines. So please make sure that that slip you get to read it in detail, especially the part of the side effects, so that you can be aware. When you experience it, you will be informed in how you actually respond to it. Well, we thank the National Drug Authority for their mandate and them doing an excellent job in ensuring that drugs all around the country actually in good condition, authorized, and definitely sensitizing the masses about it, the pharmacies, but also the end users about it. So we thank them for that. This brings us to the